Dabo Swinney and a caller spars on the Dabo Swinney call-in show. This is real. This is not clickbait. I put a link to the article below so you can check it out for yourself. I challenge you to Google it or whatever search engine you use. You can see this for yourself. He gets into it with the caller because the caller questioned his performance versus his salary versus who he has hired versus how he used to carry himself versus how he now carries himself. And it went down. This happened. I'm getting into it in just a second. Hey, I'm Brian. I'm not Bobby. If you're new here, I hope you subscribe. And if you want to support the channel, there's a link below. Let's get into this. Now, I can't read this whole thing. I left you the link below so you could read the whole interaction. I did not hear this live, but I started receiving text messages about it immediately. I was literally about to go to bed. And I was like, oh no. So I dug into this before I did this video. This went down. It happened. And I think we've got a mess on our hands as a Clemson community. So this is courtesy of the Clemson Insider. I'm not affiliated with them. That's not in a, that's nothing bad towards them. It's just we're not affiliated, but I am pulling this information from the link. It's titled Swinney's Angry Response to Caller Who Called Him Arrogant. Now, this guy who called him, his name is Tyler. All right. I don't know if this is a troll. I don't know if this is actually a person who is a fan. I don't know if this was someone who might have been planted to make this phone call. And okay, that's conspiracy theory-ish, but just theory-ish. But this is what the caller said. His name is Tyler. It sounds a lot like Tommy Bowden, and I'll let you and I'll tell you one thing. Tommy Bowden didn't make the same amount of money as you did. You make $11.5 million. Pause. It's more like right below 11 million, but that's still a lot of money. That is second in college football. And if I'm not mistaken, I am curious why that salary has led to 4-4. And I know we're going to talk about just being a couple of plays away from being undefeated and all of that. I know you're a man of religion. I'm a big fan. Coach, before you categorize me of being the 1.5%, I've been going to Clemson games in my entire family going back generations. Okay. He goes on down. I'm going to skip through some stuff. All right. Let me see. But after the 2018 national title, something changed. Seems to be lots of arrogance that came in, and there are a lot of friends and family. I mean, 3 of the 10 on-field football coaches are external experienced hires. Everyone else was an internal hire that had no experience or was a former player or friend. So I'm curious, why are we paying you $11.5 million to go 4-4, and it is not just this year? Before I read this response, let's pause here. I did not hear this guy's tone. But have you wondered? I'm going to pause here and ask you, seriously, please don't get all defensive. There's some of you love to hate Dabo Swinney. And then there's some of you, no matter what he does, you take up for him. Let's not do either. Let's be logical adults here. How many of us has asked ourselves, why did he hire that person? I have beat the drum so hard, I've busted 2 or 3 good drum heads, and I'm having to replace them all the time. Why do we have so many first-year, inexperienced coaches on our offensive staff? We've all seen it. This team is one of the most undisciplined teams when it comes to taking care of the football I've ever seen. Who's in charge of that? Next, losing the games the way that we've been losing them, seeing that in this past game against NC State, we were down 24-7. All of a sudden, it was like we received some sort of a healing. We opened up the playbook. All of a sudden, we're right back in it. It's like, oh my goodness, who are these guys? Man, they're throwing the ball everywhere. They're catching it. They're driving right down the field. Touchdown. And it took Will Shipley to get hurt before they would get Maffa in to run the ball. Mr. averaging 6.2 yards per carry. Now, people yelling and uttering this stuff of fire Dabo. No. No, no, no. We need transfer portal. We don't need the transfer portal if you're not going to hire the proper coaches. And then if you're going to hire the proper coaches, let them do their job and you leave them alone. I don't care if you are the head coach. But firing Dabo, stop that crap. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Let's pause here. Coach Swinney does make a lot of money. Now, I don't care if people make a lot of money. I'm one of those guys that a friend of mine, he got a really, really great job. And instead of me going, I'm upset that he did. No, I went, I am so happy for him. I called him. I knew the struggles that he had been through. I was proud of him. In fact, I talked to him today on the phone. But the point is, I don't care if people makes $11 million per year. Here's the thing, though. The person who makes $11 million per year to coach a game, he needs to understand that the people who can barely afford to get nosebleed tickets in the stands, those same people, they can be good at their job for years. And if the warehouse worker loads a truck the wrong way, he gets fired. It doesn't matter how many good years of loading a truck he had. If a salesman has been hitting his numbers for years, might even made President's Club, starts to hit a downturn, it doesn't matter if the economy's bad. They fire him. And they don't make $11 million a year. Once again, fire Dabo Swinney is the dumbest thing I've heard. Coach, love you, man. And I actually do appreciate you. But you need to understand who you're talking to. Let's go on. Now, Swinney's response is long. It is a long response. Part of it, I understand. Part of it, he needs to go back to the point I just made. People who make $50,000 a year loses their job all the time for doing just a good job, but maybe not being overly excellent while he's making $11 million per year. Also, how many people has actually asked Coach Swinney point blank, why did you hire those people? Hey, Tyler, I've listened to enough of you, Tyler. You can have all your opinions you want. I don't know how old you are. I really don't care. But let me tell you something. We won 11 games last year, and he goes through his entire resume. That's good. That's fine. He goes through how he's won more than basically anybody. He says, and what's happened at Clemson is we've won so much that even when we've used to be the funds in the winning, now even when you win, people like you complain and criticize the coaches and question everything. People like you. When I hired Tony Elliott to be the offensive coordinator, who never caught a play in his life, I'm sure you were critical of him then, and you took us to 2 national championships. We need to think about Jeff Scott being there. We need to think about who the quarterback was during that time. Especially Tony's last year, it was a benign offense. People like you who just love to destroy people with your comments, all right. Whoa, hold up. I did not hear this guy's tone. But every Clemson fan who has watched this unfold since that 2018 season, you started to see something change. But people was like, well, you don't say that. You don't say that. And yes, there are people who they're always miserable, even when you're winning. Okay, I get that. I agree with that. I've ran into those people. Okay, take Paul Feinbaum. Paul Feinbaum was murdering Clemson while Clemson was just the most dominant team on earth. I mean, I think I mean, every ESPN analyst that night that Clemson murdered Alabama, they had to put them in a padded room because they look absolutely ridiculous. The look of nausea was all over them. So I get it. I get that. I get that. But a lot of you have questioned, why is a man being paid $11 million to go 4-4? Especially these last two losses. Those were not two good teams, y'all. You slice it any way you want to. Those were not two good teams. Keep going. So to answer your question, I've started as the lowest paid coach in this freaking business, and I'm where I am because I've worked my butt off every single day. So if you got a problem with that, I don't care. I work for the board of trustees, the president, and the AD, and if they're tired of me leading this problem, all they got to do is let me know. I'll go somewhere else where there is appreciation. It's not just winning; it's how you win. This is a tough year, but we've had 12, 10 plus win season. That's great. That's great. That's wonderful. That's true. He goes into his life, into his marriage, the way he's raised his sons. But he says, but I'm not going to sit here and let you call. I don't give a crap how much money I'm making. Pause there, coach. Party foul. Once again, I'm going to have people who's very close to me who loves me who's going to disagree with me. By the way, I can't see the comment section. I'm doing that on purpose. I don't want to see the comment section right now. If somebody just gave me $1,000, thank you. I don't want to see the comment section. I want to be as authentic as possible. Money plays a big part in the way that people looks at things. Once again, there are people right now, like it or not. And once again, I'm a guy who wants to make as much money as I possibly can ethically. I don't want to do anything wrong. But if I could become a billionaire tomorrow, I would. I don't have a problem with people who earn a lot of money. But you need to understand something. Yes, there are people out there who are jealous and they wish they had the money and they're just overly zealous and they say a bunch of stupid crap like fire Dabo and he's terrible and he's no. Swinney, I've taken up for you a lot, dude. I know your own man, you can take up for yourself and all that, but no, I have taken up for you. I've told people to leave you alone. I've told people to chill. But coach, you need to understand something. When you have the common worker who can get fired for blinking wrong and they make $50,000 a year, $70,000, and you have inflation like it is eating us up, groceries, I mean, you can't even afford groceries anymore. God forbid you have to go on a road trip with gas prices the way they are. And you say, I don't give a crap how much money I'm making. Ooh, that was the wrong words. Sorry. I mean, there's so many people who would love to go to a Clemson game. They can't afford it. They can't. They can't do it. And you are wondering why people are questioning if you're paid too much versus what's going on with a really talented group of players. Losing to Florida State in overtime is understandable. Losing to Duke, even though Duke shouldn't have won by 3 touchdowns. I know it was a weird game, and everybody's we've talked that away. But I'm telling you, pal, You get to these last 2 football games, and on top of that, you're being paid almost 11 mil to coach a game. Once again, don't have a problem with that. But you make that comment, that's where you're gonna lose people. I'm just telling you, that's where you're gonna lose people. You're gonna lose people. I mean, by the way, folks, since Clemson went on this nice little losing, you know, back hill, falling down the hill, mountain, whatever. I got my words twisted up there. Since they started being not so good, you can buy an okay Notre Dame ticket this weekend, upper decks. I mean, you're still going to pay $80, $90. You will need to carry a pair of binoculars, but maybe you and half one of your kids can go. Coach, that is where people has a problem. You need to understand that. You need to understand that is the problem. And there's a couple of people I know who I know how much money they make. There's one particular person in mind I know who they grew up just regular. They didn't have a silver spoon in their mouth. And they worked hard. They went through some tough times, but they made a ton of money. And I'm going to tell you, you would never, ever know that they have the money that they do. They're very careful not to let people know how much money that they make. And I've heard that Dabo is generous, and I think that we need to be very careful here, folks. But I think that now after, I mean, Dabo is what, 51, something like that, 51, or I think he said he's 53. And he's been around Clemson. You know, he had those early tough years, and that sticks with you. I don't care how old you get, but I think we need to understand something here, that maybe Swinney needs to step back and look and go, you know what? I don't like being accused all the time of this, that, and the other, and I may not like it. But at the end of the day, if Clemson wanted to fire me, the buyout would be so massive that me and the wife can go kick back somewhere. Even now they could, and never have to work ever, and spend lavishly, and that would be fine. That's okay. I mean, I'm not. But I think that that's where the disconnect at, and just word of advice to Coach Swinney. Word of advice to Coach Swinney, and I know he probably won't listen to a word I say, but take it from someone who does admire you. Take it from someone who has criticized you on the things that was dumb that you did. But I've also praised you for what you've done. You need to, I've said it umpteen times here, I'm going to say it again. When you're taking calls from people who can be fired at the drop of a bucket because they just didn't do their job right, and they make 0.5% of what you make, that's a gross. Actually, it would be, hold on, it would be 0.5%. 10% of $11 million is 1.1 million. 1% would be 110,000. 0.5% would be about 55. So yeah, 0.5% of what you make, and they see you getting upset because, I mean, let's be honest, you've wasted talent this year, and you're getting mad, and you don't know why they're mad. I can tell you. Also, Clemson fans, this is also the look that you see out of coaches who are fixing to leave a program or they're losing it. Remember Jimbo Fisher arguing? with a Florida State fan as they were trying to go in the tunnel after a loss. Remember that? We've seen other coaches get into it with their fan base, with the media, and this is not good. But I want to make this very clear. I just hope everybody kind of calms down. That includes the coach, because you can lose the rest of this year and you can lose the rest of the next year, and they still have to buy you out. Sorry, man. Sorry. These are people. I can't keep saying it. I've said what I was going to say. Clemson fans, I'm just to the point. We just need to chill out. We need to chill out, and John Sarian says that Tyler, real or fake name, was being really rude, and you know, it's just looking. This is just looking bad because 2 weeks we had the 1.5%. And I know that a lot of people says, and most likely he meant only the true troublemakers who were never happy. So I'm kind of speechless at this point. So here's my thoughts. Clemson fans, chill. Let's just watch the season. It's over for this year. And what happens in the off season is going to determine a lot. Does anyone hit the transfer portal? I'm not talking about Clemson go and get players from the transfer portal. I'm talking about, does Clemson have players that either declare early for the NFL if they can go out and do it? Do they have players hit the transfer portal and leave? Do we have decommitments? Does Swinney look at a lot of those former players and former relationships and say, look, I love you. I can't keep doing this. I give you a chance. And I gave too many of you a chance at one time, and then he lets them go. We'll see. And then for Coach Swinney, remember, as I said, we do appreciate you. There are some bad talks out there. There's some bad comments that's being made towards you. And it is totally wrong. At the same time, you made some questionable hires. You are 4-4. There's no reason for you to have lost those 2 ball games. No reason. No flipping reason. Especially that Miami game where there was a true freshman quarterback. There's just too many things that's not adding up, Coach. You're a smart man. You know this. This is not adding up. And just say it's on me, and if somebody starts being a jerk, hey man, I understand. I understand how it may look to you. And go for it. Because you're only killing your reputation, pal. Just telling you. Well, folks, thanks so much for joining me tonight. Hope everyone is doing well. I hope you pass this along. But hit the subscribe button if you're in here. If you have never subscribed, it is free. That's the easiest way to actually support the channel. There's a join button below as well. You're like, how much is that? Well, you don't have to be making $11 million a year to join. It's $3 or $5 per month. You say 3 or 5, which is it? It's either you want to support $3 per month, $5 per month. If you do that, you want to give in super chat right now. So anyway, thank you so much to everybody. I don't have the link in here. I want to give a major shout out to a sponsor of mine, 4puttcarts.com. 4puttcarts.com is a beverage and snack cart service for golf courses as well as events. So if you have a birthday party coming up, you need to get them out there. So why do I want that? Because people are going to enjoy their snacks and beverages, and you don't have to do all of that. You get them to do it. See, one less thing for you to do. You're not pulling your hair out. Golf courses used to work at one. We got overwhelmed during tournaments. You need to get them out there. Let them know that you heard about them from me. Thank you, everybody. You take care of yourself, and I'll catch you later this week. As always, go Tigers.